Welcome back to the pinnacle of international football, coming to you live from New Jersey for this highly anticipated World Cup knockout clash. Talk about tactical chess before a ball is even kicked. France manager Didier Deschamps rolled the dice, making 4 massive changes from the side that faced Norway. Lucas Digne, Bradley Barcola, Adrien Rabiot, and William Saliba all stepped into the starting 11, replacing Lacroix, Theo Hernandez, Kone, and Ousmane Dembele. It is truly an embarrassment of riches for Les Bleus. On the flip side, Sweden faced a monumental mountain to climb with the forced absence of star defender Isaac Keane, a massive blow against an attack of this caliber. Furthermore, Alexander Bernhardsson was dropped to the bench, paving the way for Tottenham's Lucas Bergvall and Borussia Dortmund's Daniel Svensson. The burning questions pre-match were clear. Could Anthony Elanga extend his red-hot form after netting 2 in his last 2? Could Alexander Isak or Victor Gyökeres deliver on the biggest stage? Sweden entered this game perfect. 3 wins, 10 goals scored, and only 2 conceded. Yet, France's front 4, even with today's rotations, remains absolutely frightening. The intensity was electric right from the opening whistle. Anthony Elanga got involved early on, testing the defensive resolve of Lucas Digne down the flank. Sweden manufactured the first real scare of the match when Gyökeres chased down a long ball, setting up a foot race between 2 Arsenal players as he slipped a pass to Alexander Isak. Isak let fly with the first shot of the day, but the French center-backs, marshaled by William Saliba, quickly dealt with the danger. France responded with fierce intent. Digne drove a powerful ball back into the danger zone after a partial clearance from Victor Lindelof. Digne hit it cleanly on his 60th international cap, drawing a sharp save from Swedish goalkeeper Zetterström. Moments later, Bradley Barcola skipped away from Gustaf Lagerbjälke with a dazzling burst of pace. The PSG winger produced a subtle hesitation move to create half a yard, but unfortunately, he skied his left-footed effort well over the crossbar. Then came the drama. Michael Olise unlocked the Swedish defense with a brilliant through ball to Kylian Mbappe, who slotted it home. The flag instantly went up for offside. It was incredibly tight, and despite a lengthy VAR check that showed just how close it was, the linesman's decision stood. Sweden showed their tactical ingenuity shortly after, with a clever, inventive routine from a set piece. Gyökeres picked out Isak with great vision, but Isak couldn't get enough power on his improvisational backheel finish. As halftime approached, France turned the temperature all the way up. Mbappe sent in a dangerous cross, partially cleared by Lagerbjälke and Bergvall. Olise picked up the pieces, feeding Rabiot, who drove it through a crowd, only for Zetterström to pull off a magnificent reflex save with his left foot before it deflected off Lindelof for a corner. Off the ensuing corner taken by Dembele, a deflected shot rattled the post as Sweden survived by the skin of their teeth. But you can only contain world-class genius for so long. Deep into the first half, France executed a sharp short corner routine. Olise combined with Mbappe. The French number 10 produced a trademark step-over, completely shifting his weight to leave Gyökeres frozen, and effortlessly guided the ball into the far bottom corner. 1-0 France. With that strike, Kylian Mbappe stands alone, becoming the all-time leading goalscorer in World Cup knockout history with 17 tournament goals. Sweden nearly found an instant response. Elanga used his electric pace to deliver a brilliant ball across the face of the goal. Svensson kept the play alive, but Starfelt fired his close-range effort agonizingly wide. Elanga then went down in the box under pressure from Digne, shouting for a penalty, but the assistant referee's flag was already up for an initial offside against Svensson. The second half was a showcase of why France is ranked as the best team in the world. In the 50th minute, Michael Olise produced a moment of absolute magic, delivering a fabulous nutmeg pass right through Lagerbjälke. Bradley Barcola took it beautifully in stride and unleashed a clinical finish past Zetterström to make it 2-0. Sweden tried to utilize the long throw-ins of Leeds defender Gabriel Gudmundsson to historic effect, but the delivery was easily cleared away by Aurélien Tchouaméni. Immediately from that clearance, the counter-attack was on. Mbappe started his run inside his own half, driving one-on-one against Svensson before feeding Olise, whose driving effort was kept out by another fine Zetterström save. Then, pure showtime. France put on a clinic of liquid football. Mbappe unlocked the defense with a sensational backheel to Barcola, the ball rotated through Olise and came right back to Mbappe. With mesmerizing skill, Mbappe danced through the defense and slotted home his second of the match. 3-0. That marked his 18th goal in 18 World Cup matches, keeping him hot on the heels of Lionel Messi for the Golden Boot. With the game firmly secured, Didier Deschamps rang the changes, subbing off Mbappe, Olise, Koundé, and Dembele to a rapturous standing ovation, introducing the likes of Malo Gusto and Désiré Doué. Even with the stars resting, France wasn't done. Barcola embarked on a phenomenal solo run, putting a Swedish defender flat on the deck with a beautiful chop before Zetterström denied him a tap-in. In the dying embers of the match, Sweden had a golden chance for a consolation goal as Gyökeres found himself clean through, but AC Milan goalkeeper Mike Maignan pulled off a superb save to preserve the clean sheet. The full-time whistle blew in New Jersey. France cruises into the round of 16, punched their ticket to Philadelphia to face Paraguay on the 4th of July, courtesy of a masterclass from Kylian Mbappe and Bradley Barcola. From a tactical standpoint, France's 3-0 victory over Sweden was an absolute masterclass in exploiting half spaces and utilizing defensive transitions. Didier Deschamps' tactical blueprint completely dismantled Sweden's low-block defensive structure. Eyebrows were raised when the team sheets dropped, showing 4 changes, particularly with Theo Hernandez and Ousmane Dembele benched. However, the tactical execution on the pitch vindicated Deschamps completely. Asymmetric left flank dynamics. The inclusion of Lucas Digne and Mbappe Barcola gave France a highly aggressive yet defensively stable left side. Barcola's verticality forced Gustav Lagerbielke into constant isolation, preventing Sweden's right back from overlapping or supporting the midfield transitions. Exploiting the absence of Isaac Keane, Sweden's defensive shape lacked its usual lateral compactness without Keane. Victor Lindelof and Lagerbielke were routinely pulled out of the central corridor by the decoy runs of Adrien Rabiot and the inverted movements of Michael Olise. France's second goal perfectly illustrates their tactical superiority in central-to-wide transitions. When Michael Olise, operating in the right half space, received the ball, Sweden's defensive block overshifted to compensate for the gravity of Kylian Mbappe. This left a massive structural gap between Sweden's center-back and left-back. Olise's perfectly weighted nutmeg pass through Lagerbielke directly exploited this structural flaw, allowing Barcola to exploit the blindside run. Sweden, spearheaded by Isak and Gyökeres, relied heavily on an endbiter, direct, vertical counter-attacking model. In the first half, they successfully triggered transitions by isolating Gyökeres against Saliba. Their inventive set-piece routine showed thorough preparation, but they ultimately lacked the technical execution and clinical edge required to bypass a defensive unit as disciplined as France's. The statistical and structural gap between the two sides becomes highly apparent when breaking down individual positional battles across the pitch into 3 critical factors. First, let's look at 1v1 dribbling efficiency. While Sweden's effectiveness was merely moderate, relying almost completely on the isolated runs of Anthony Elanga, Team France operated at an elite level. Players like Kylian Mbappe and Mbappe Barcola continuously broke through Sweden's low defensive block using superior individual technical skills, routinely turning defenders inside out. Second is shot quality and conversion. France displayed incredible clinical efficiency, logging 3 goals alongside 2 separate woodwork hits. Sweden, by contrast, suffered from low attacking efficiency. Alexander Isak missed his key opportunity, and Victor Gyökeres was completely denied by the center-backs. The structural absence of defender Isaac Keane clearly left Sweden completely vulnerable to rapid central penetration. Finally, we have the goalkeeping impact. For France, Mike Maignan had a relatively quiet evening thanks to a highly disciplined defense, but he remained completely alert when called upon to maintain a crucial clean sheet at the very end. On the other side, despite conceding 3 times, Zetterström delivered an exceptional performance for Sweden, with over 5 high-profile saves. Without Zetterström's brilliant footwork and reflexes keeping them afloat, the final scoreline could have easily drifted to a catastrophic 5-0 or 6-0. It is impossible to analyze this match without focusing on the structural threat of Kylian Mbappe. His brace today did more than just break historical knockout records. It demonstrated a highly matured tactical intelligence. His opening goal from the short corner routine was a lesson in spatial awareness. Instead of relying purely on explosive acceleration, Mbappe intentionally slowed the tempo down, utilizing a calculated step over to exploit Gyökeres' body shape and momentum before curling the ball into the bottom corner. This ability to manipulate defensive tracking is what makes him arguably the most devastating forward in world football. With 18 goals and 18 World Cup appearances, his efficiency presents an existential threat to any defensive structure left in the knockout rounds, starting with Paraguay and Philadelphia. Sweden fought valiantly, displaying